Okay, so this is a review of this Taylor guitar, and I'll explain it all to you as we go. Basically, it's a Koa Taylor. I'll try and remember the number. I'll have to look. It's a Taylor 214ce, which stands for Cutaway Electric, K, which stands for Koa, and SB, which stands for Sunburst. And I'll tell you the story of it in a minute. I'm just going to play a little bit of music on it with a backing track, and then I'm going to go through some stuff without it and talk about why I got this strange story of a shop in Epsom called Guitar, who are great. I have to say, the shop was great, the staff were great and everything, but from the moment I walked in there, this guitar had me in a strange kind of way, and they couldn't have been more helpful. But equally, I had no intention of buying anything. I just wanted to try out some Taylors and some Martins when I made the decision to go there. But I'll come back to that in a minute. So let's just play a bit over this E minor backing track, and then I'll come back, and then the rest of it I'm not going to use a backing track. I'm just going to take you through the sounds and show you the guitar. So that takes you to the backing track. So the story. So I've been watching lots of YouTube videos and watching Taylor guitars, and I always had the idea that there are really only three major acoustic guitar manufacturers. One of them's Martin, another one's Gibson, and the new boy, or the youngest in the camp, was Taylor. And being that I'm not fundamentally by nature an acoustic guitarist, actually learnt on an electric, it made sort of kind of identifying what makes one great or different from everything else, or what you might want. And there is a thing that when you walk into a guitar shop, the guitar picks you. Of course that's rubbish, but the reality is, and I'll quickly tell you the story, I went in, I spent 2 hours in guitar in total. They couldn't have been more helpful, as I said. But this was the first guitar that I saw. I went in there from the whole ethos of Taylor, and the first thing I was interested in going was to try some Taylors and some Martins, etc., etc., and a couple of Gibsons. I'd had a Gibson acoustic before, so you probably, if you look at my previous videos, you'll remember that. Okay, so they left me alone and let me play this for a while, and I thought, oh, it's great, let me try another one. And they do a cheaper version of this with you know, a plain top. In other words, it's not made of koa. It's a normal guitar top that you would use, and it had mahogany back and sides rather than this is koa all the way around. And I played that as well. I played a sort of an American version, not of this. Again, that was a normal. What was a gloss one of these. I played a couple of Martins, one of which was really expensive. But all the way through, I keep coming back to this one, and I couldn't understand what it was. You know, what made this so attract over everything else. And I hadn't even plugged it. You know, it hadn't been played through an acoustic guitar, so I hadn't heard the pickups in any of them. And that's why for this demo, as you saw, I did the previous one where I recorded this playing over a track, and that was done using the electrics. But this is just going to be all the review's going to be all acoustic. Anyway, you know, bear in mind I had no intention of buying a guitar, but you get led, or you lead yourself down a pathway, and I kept saying, well, if I was to consider this, can you do something on it? As I bought guitars here before, and then they looked at that, and then I said, but it really needs setting up, and I can't make the final decision until. And so they had a technician there who's trained in Taylors, and he set it up within sort of 15-20 minutes. And it then played like a dream. It really plays like an electric guitar. These guitars come with Elixir strings, and they're basically 13 gauge strings on here. They don't feel like 13s because it's so well set up, and you know, it gives you clarity on everything. But I'm just going to take you through some sounds of an acoustic without a backing track and let you hear maybe. As you can see, that's playing it quite quietly. If I do and you know, I don't play fingerstyle really, but I can do sort of. You know, I'm just doodling on it really, but it sort of kind of makes everything so musical. It's just a joy to play. I mean, I've never really ever played an acoustic like this. And you've seen, I've got on videos, I've had some other acoustics in the past, but it's just it's just an absolute joy to play. I don't know what it is, but for me, and I wouldn't say that you know, so the top three, so Martin, Taylor and Gibson. For me it's Gibson guitars I love, but there is something about this Taylor that just, it just suits me more than any Gibson acoustic I've played. And Martin's, they have a tremendous sound, but this seems to be warm and across the board, you know, and everything it does, you know, it rings. Maybe it's the Koa, you know, I don't know. You know, I think that the other version of it, which is more standard with a mahogany back and the normal plain top, that is brighter than this, and it didn't seem to. I mean, I didn't warm to that like I did to this. So I can't say that it's just Taylor guitars. But if this is an example of their building of guitars, and this comes from the Mexican factory, which is 40 miles or 41 miles away from the American factory, the quality is outstanding. That's, you know, literally that's all I can say about this. I just let you look at it and just look at the underside and the back and the actual figuring on the back and the neck and everything. You know, it is a remarkable guitar. That was completely acoustic based, because as I said, I put a track on before with me playing it in an electrified format. But even when you're playing bar chords up here, it's just there. It's still. You hear all the notes when you play far. So that's all I can say. Would I recommend them to everybody else? I think it's a personal thing. If you have thin fingers and a small hand, like it really does lend itself to the way that I want to play acoustic. It makes me want to play acoustic. It makes me want to do more things. It makes me want to maybe actually get my finger picking up to scratch and get and do some stuff that is unusual. So, you know, I recommend this guitar highly, and you know, as I said, guitar where I got it from was wonderful. All the shops that I actually use for guitar, Anderton's are great as well. and also GAC in Brighton. Although they're not, GAC seem to ignore you, and there's a lot of, you know, it's not the shop's fault, but it's the only one there, so they get a lot of kids in there, and it gets a bit more annoying because of the obvious Deep Purple and Led Zeppelin riffs and Teenage Spirit, etc., etc. But you know, all three guitar shops are great, but I have to, you know, take my hat off yesterday. They really looked after me, so thank you very much, all the people at Guitar. I don't receive anything. I'm not endorsing them, I'm just telling you of my experience. Get a tailor.